And the South African Local Government Association, SALGA, hosted an online symposium with local government officials, academics, and researchers to discuss the NPC's January 2025 advisory note. The note addresses challenges in implementing the Climate Change Act, that's number 22 of 2024, and outlines support strategies for municipalities. Over 100 delegates from all government spheres and key stakeholders participated. For more on this, we're joined by Joanne Yawitch, Commissioner on both the National Planning Commission and the Presidential Climate Commission. Joanne, good morning, and thank you for making time to chat to us.
Morning, Asanda. It's a pleasure.
As a commissioner on both the NPC and PCC, how do you see these two bodies working together to support the implementation of the Climate Change Act?
The National Planning Commission, in the National Development Plan, there's a commitment to move South Africa towards a low carbon and climate resilient society. And the Presidential Climate Commission, a much later establishment, is very much focused on working with all stakeholders in relation to South Africa's climate policy. So there's a great deal of synergy and a commitment to align and to work together on an issue that is becoming ever more critical for the country.
What are the key gaps that you are seeing in local government capacity to implement climate change and policies, and how can national coordination improve that?
Okay, I'm sure we all are very conscious of the fact that climate disasters are happening increasingly commonly. I mean, we've just seen a tragic loss of life and property in the Eastern Cape, for example. And this is becoming ever more common. And in local government, there is often both a lack of capacity, not enough people to do the job. There's often a lack of data and information that would enable local government to be much more prepared, and a lack of knowledge sometimes that means that actions that could quite easily be taken at an early stage, for example, dealing with stormwater management that would prevent flooding is not there. And so there's an urgent need for money, for resources, for capacity, and in particular for local government to be able to integrate climate information into the way that planning happens and into the way that it is structured, so that you avoid the problem and you don't have to deal with it after the fact.
Right. From the recent NPC SALGA roundtable, what stood out to you the most in terms of what needs urgent intervention and a move from planning to implementation?
Okay, I think there were a couple of things. I think one of the things that we identified was the need for a great deal of education and awareness across the local government sphere in relation to climate change and its impacts. To do that, we need information that is produced in particular by our very excellent academic community in a form that local government can use and in an appropriate way. And we identified the need for political leadership and political will. And I think that what was striking in our workshop was in municipalities where this is a serious issue for leadership, you do find that climate action is able to be taken at a much earlier stage, and that the results are much better. So I think it's a combination. Of factors. We are committed to working with the Local Government Association, with the PCC, with the academic community to try now and in a much more concrete way work out how that can all be taken forward and turned into the kind of information and support that will really enable the planning framework in the Climate Change Act to be something that is very effective.
And in terms of the private sector and civil society, what role can they play then in supporting municipalities to meet their climate obligations under this Climate Change Act?
I think certainly in areas where you have leadership from government and from municipalities, it is then much easier for civil society, I think, to work with their constituencies in a municipality, and for business to understand what its role is, particularly in being able to take preventative action around climate disasters, as well as what it needs to do in order to reduce its emissions. So I do think those partnerships are really important. It's something that did come up in the workshop. And that I think for the PCC as an organization that is a multi-stakeholder organization is very critical, that all of those actors in society are working together and collaboratively.
All right. Thank you so much again for your time, Joanne. You have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. Goodbye.
Thanks. Joanne Yawitch is a commissioner on South Africa's National Planning Commission, as well as the Presidential Climate Commission.